Greetings ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mangs and I present to you yet another Fire Emblem character spotlights. Today we're taking a look at a character which sparks daily debates in the Fire Emblem community, and that seems to be someone you either absolutely adore or utterly despise. I'm of course talking about, and I can't fucking believe I'm doing this, the cute little mage from Blazing Sword, Nino. Nino is a 14-year-old girl that hails from Bern, and perhaps one of the most important characters in Blazing Sword, because strange as it is, she is actually indirectly responsible for the events that takes place in Binding Blade. Nino grew up in a family of powerful wizards. She had a big brother named Kai, who was a mage just like herself. Her father, named Jug, was a renowned magician of great power, and her mother was named Iris, also a powerful mage in her own right. And she is speculated to be the sister of Kanas's wife through a support conversation, possibly making Kanas Nino's uncle by marriage. Nino lived peacefully in a small village with her family until it was one day visited by Nergal's evil morph Sonia, who had sought out the family due to them having precious knowledge about dragons. Sonia posed as an innocent traveler to earn their trusts and get inside their house. Once inside, she captured Nino, who was still only an infant child, and used her as a living shield. Nino's family was powerless to resist and told her everything they knew. After they were done, however, Sonia viciously killed the entire family and was going to finish off Nino as well, but was strangely stopped by Nergal, who saw Nino's magical potential and thought she could prove useful. Much to her dismay, Sonia adopted Nino as her own child, as she was too young to have any memories of the events. Growing up, Nino tried her best to earn her mother's affection, but no matter how hard she attempted to bond with the ice-cold morph, Sonia simply resented her more and more. Nino did, however, bond with her stepfather Brendan Reed, leader of the Black Fang, his two sons Lloyd and Linus, as well as the man known as the Hurricane, Legault. While she received no love from her cold mother, she was surrounded by good friends and family in the Black Fang, and thus grew up to become a kind-hearted girl. Sonia never bothered to train Nino in the art of magic. Instead, Nino taught herself via reading, as well as watching and mimicking Sonia's incantations. This proved Nergal's point that Nino had amazing potential to become a great mage, and she would most likely have grown even quicker had Sonia taken the time to groom her properly. But the evil morph had other plans for her adoptive daughter. As the Black Fang was slowly being devoured from within, and slain members gradually replaced by Nergal's morph, Legault left the Fang, and even Lloyd and Linus started to question the path they were on. Their father was completely under Sonia's charm, and would not listen to their warnings. Nino, on the other hand, was merely focused on proving herself to her false mother, and blindly accepted any tasks given to her. On one of her errands, she was supposed to meet up with the Angel of Death Jafar in a cabin close to the Bern border. Here she was to receive important intel from the assassin, which she would take back to the Black Fang headquarters. Uncharacteristically, however, Jafar was late, and when he showed up, he was covered in blood and fatally injured. Jafar quickly collapsed when he got inside the cabin, and Nino, being the kind soul that she was, took care of him by treating his wounds. Jafar despised the notion at first, demanding she kill him for his weakness, as was the law of the Fang, but Nino ignored him and nursed the broken assassin back to health. This act of kindness was most likely the first Jafar had ever experienced in his life, and it awakened emotions in him that he had never felt before. Without realizing it, he fell in love with Nino in that cabin, and this unlikely event would have dire consequences for the future of Alib. Sonia, who had now grown quite tired of Nino's presence, decided to put her evil scheme in motion. Jafar had received a mission from King Desmond of Bern to assassinate his own son, the Prince of Bern, Sephiel. Jafar was initially going to carry out the mission alone, but Sonia ordered he bring Nino with him, not knowing that the two Black Fang members had secretly forged a bond with each other. Unbeknownst to Nino, who thought she was sent on the mission to gain experience, her role would be to act as a scapegoat. Jafar was supposed to kill her after assassinating Sephiel and make it look like she was the murderer. King Desmond had made the mission easy for the two assassins. Murdoch, Sephiel's bodyguard, was sent away on a mission. All torches in the castle were put out, and the castle guard had also been dispatched from duty. Jafar and Nino made their way unopposed to Sephiel's room, where they heard the young prince pray for his family. Jafar and Nino briefly listened to his words before entering his room. There, Jafar knocked him out and told Nino to finish off the prince. Nino did not carry out the deed, however. Instead, she started crying, as she related to Sephiel's pain of trying to win the affection of his cruel father. It was just like with her and Sonia. When Jafar insisted she carry out the mission, she told him that he could kill her for disobeying orders. Jafar hesitated, had a change of heart, and then grabbed Nino's hand, leading them both out of the room. Outside, however, they both met up with Ursula, one of the Four Fangs, who was sent to make sure the job was carried out. Upon seeing Nino, Ursula knew that Jafar had betrayed them, and ordered her men to kill them both. Jafar pushed Nino away and told her to run, before throwing himself at the other Black Fang assassins. Nino ran away, but refused to leave the castle while Jafar was still fighting, so she instead decided to guard one of the entrances to Sephiel's chambers. While Jafar dealt with the brunt of the Black Fang, she too encountered some stray assassins. However, with her lack of experience, she would have easily fallen were it not for Eliwood, Hector and Lindis and the rest of their companions showing up in the nick of time to intercept the Black Fang forces. After encountering the young girl, they told Nino of the events that had transpired with the Black Fang and Nergal, as they had previously been witnesses to a secret meeting. Upon hearing this, Nino decided to join them. She managed to reach Jafar in the midst of the fighting and urged him to join her newfound companions. At first, Jafar refused, but after the battle was won, he changed his mind and decided to tag along to protect Nino from any further harm, much to the dismay of Hector and Matthew, who refused to forgive him for murdering Layla. Thanks to the intervention of Eliwood, Hector and Lyn and their companions, as well as the bond between Jafar and Nino, Sephiel, the Prince of Bern, survived the encounter with the Black Fang. As a result, Sephiel would survive to become the Mad King we all know in Binding Blade. Nino and Jafar are therefore indirectly responsible for the events that transpires in the game. Nino, who had now learned the horrible truth from Ursula that Sonia was going to have her sacrificed as a scapegoat, decided to sneak off in the middle of the night to confront her mother, who resided in a nearby water temple. Jafar spotted her on their way from the camp and urged her not to confront Sonia. But seeing Nino's determination, he knew that he could not convince her to stop, and therefore decided to follow her. Eliwood, Lyn and Hector, however, overheard their conversation and followed them to the temple. Inside the temple, Nino encountered Sonia and asked her to tell the truth. Sonia, who now had a perfectly good reason to kill the two traitors, saw no reason to keep the facade going and told Nino everything. How she murdered her parents, how she hated every minute with her, and how she was going to enjoy murdering her now. Nino was outraged by this, but was luckily stopped by Jafar, who inserted himself between the two of them. Seeing Jafar, Sonia decided to retreat, possibly out of either fear or respect, as she knew perfectly well what he was capable of. Nino and Jafar joined up with their newfound companions, and together they took down the morphs in the water temple, and eventually killed Sonia as well, ending her evil schemes once and for all. Nino and Jafar would accompany Eliwood, Hector and Lyn on their journey, helping them end Nergal's madness. After the events of Blazing Sword, Nino settles down in Farah and would go on to marry either Urk or Jafar, and have two twin sons, Lugh and Raigh, both playable characters in Binding Blade. Nino is a young, slender girl with a small build. She wears a teal vest, a purple cloak, and a short white miniskirt, together with high blue boots. Her eyes are blue, and she has short, ruffled green hair, similar to her twin sons. She is often seen with a smile on her face, despite her tragic circumstances. Nino's personality reflects a side of the Black Fang our protagonists do not come in contact with. She displays kindness, compassion, loyalty, and most of all, love. All things present in the Black Fang, at least prior to the organization being devoured from the inside by Nergal's morphs. Nino is in many ways the complete opposite of her stepmother, Sonia, and despite the tragedies she endures, she keeps her pure heart and noble spirit intact. As a unit, Nino fits the Est archetype. She joins extremely late in the chapter Battle Before Dawn and is available in a total of 9 chapters in Hector's story and 8 chapters in Eliwood's story. When she joins, she comes as a level 5 mage with extremely poor base stats compared to the enemies you are regularly facing at this point. To make up for this, she does possess some of the best growths in the game. Nino is a character that sparks a lot of debate within the Fire Emblem community. On one side, a lot of people claim she is a good unit because she has the potential to surpass the other 2 anima users in the game, Urk and Pent, while others claim she is garbage because Pent and Urk are both considered a lot better than Nino, due to their better stats during her join time, superior availability, as well as greater utility. And both of them really aren't all that far behind Nino in terms of potential either. For any players who are remotely interested in turn counts and wants to finish the game without turtling, Nino is considered complete and utter garbage. In order to reach her potential, you must babysit the crap out of her and feed her kills on units carefully left at low health from other members of your party. Some players really enjoy this process and likes to turn a completely worthless unit into a killing machine. For these players, Nino is considered an enjoyable unit to use, but that still doesn't make her objectively good. The reason why the Fire Emblem community has such difficulties agreeing on what characters are good and what characters are bad is because people take things such as personal experiences, fandom, and enjoyment into the picture. Fire Emblem is a game about numbers, and the only way to measure a unit's true worth is to compare numbers to other numbers. Nino is statistically stronger than Urk and Pent in terms of her potential. As a level 20 sage, she will have higher bases on average than her 2 anima-wielding competitors, but a unit's max potential isn't the only thing determining its worth. The reason why Nino is considered a bad unit is because the endgame of Blazing Sword is extremely easy due to poorly scaling enemies, even on Hector hard mode. The early to mid game is truly what's brutal about that game, and Nino is not available to be of any help there. When she joins, and has the potential to become a great sage, the game is already so easy that she doesn't really contribute anything to the team. She is just another unit, easily killing enemies. For newer and more inexperienced players, however, this might not be equally true, as they may not have played the game optimally, and thus may struggle in the late game. For such players, if they have the skills required to baby her into a good unit, Nino could potentially be useful, but again, this hardly does anything to classify her as a good unit. If you are one of those guys who are just madly in love with this girl and want to use her no matter what, and I know there are a lot of you out there, then I guess you could consider giving her the Athos drops to increase her already high growth rates by 5%. This doesn't fix her issues, but it does make her amazing potential even better. Have this along with a fire tome ready in the inventory of your character that is supposed to recruit her, which is either Lyn or your main lord, depending on your story. This way, they can trade them over to Nino right after recruiting her, and she is ready to be trained the moment she joins. The Fire Tome is useful, since the Elfire she comes equipped with will slow her speed down by 7 points, thanks to her awful constitution of 3, one of the lowest in the entire game. This kills her avoidance and makes her prone to double attacks. Because of this, you could consider giving her a body ring, as she will take speed penalties from basic animatomes even after promoting. An Angelic Robe could also be considered a very useful stat booster to her, as she is prone to getting one-shotted in the chapters after her recruitments. A common misconception a lot of players make is that you should pick a tactician with the fire affinity to boost Nino's usefulness via the tactician bonus, and that this somehow increases her growth rates by 5%. This is a complete myth, but it has spread like wildfire in the Fire Emblem community for whatever reason. The tactician bonus have never affected growth rates. It provides a critical avoid to all playable units depending on your total tactician star, which can go up to 10% if you have 10 stars. And additionally, units sharing the tactician's affinity also gets +1 bonus to hit and avoid per star. While this bonus is useful, it seldom has much impact on the game, but it is a nice reward for players who care about rankings. At the end of the day, however, Nino is crap, simply because Urk and Pent outclass her in every single way. Statistically speaking, she just isn't worth the investments. You have to spend a considerable amount of time and resources babysitting her, and you only really end up with a slightly better Sage in the late game, if even that. Still, as I said, if you are a Nino fanboy, go right ahead. You should play Fire Emblem any way you want, and use any character you want. Don't listen to the elitists who tells you to do this and that, and play the game their way, and that you are an idiot if you do it otherwise. At the end of the day, it's all really about fun, and if using Nino makes you have more fun while playing Fire Emblem, go right ahead. Just please, for the love of God, don't go to a Fire Emblem message board and try to start a discussion where you argue that Nino is a good unit, because you will be torn apart. Just have fun using her. Nobody can take that away from you, at least. Thank you for watching this character spotlights. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want me to feature a character in a future episode, please post it in the comment section below. Just make sure you visit the playlist by clicking the link in the video description, as I may already have featured your favorite character. Either way, a like and a comment really helps out my channel a lot, so I would certainly appreciate it. Once again, thank you for watching, my name has been Mangs, and I'll see you next time.